Welcome into the Saint Anselm Coaches Show. Here every Tuesday, pre-recorded at Davison Hall on campus at Saint Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire. My name is Ben Altsher, filling in today for Nick Anastos, who's away on assignment. Remind you, Saint Anselm College features 20 NCAA Division II programs, most of which compete in the highly competitive Northeast 10 Conference. With over 100 home events this season, plenty of chances to catch the Hawks in action. If you can't make it to the game, log on to SaintAnselmHawks.com and follow along with free live stats of every home contest. Better yet, be sure to check out SaintAnselmHawks.tv for live video broadcasts of every football, basketball, and hockey game, as well as other select events throughout the year. Joined by men's basketball head coach Keith Dickson here to start off the Saint Anselm Coaches Show today. Coach, welcome aboard.
Always my pleasure.
Let's start off with the last week for you. A couple of pretty impressive road wins, crosstown rival Southern New Hampshire, a nice second half comeback there, and then another big second half for a road win at Assumption. Your guys now 3-2 on the year. Does it feel like your team is maybe starting to find the groove a little bit?
Well, I think anytime you go on the road and win in this league, it's a difficult thing to do. So, we don't take any of them for granted. So, going over to Southern New Hampshire, especially coming off the loss that we had against Felician, became a very important game for us. And we didn't perform very well, I don't think, in the first half, and then put together just a terrific second half. Same thing against Assumption. I think we went down there, didn't play great in the first half, and probably used a 4 or 5 minute stretch of defense to be able to pull ahead of about the 9-minute mark. So, I'd like us to see us play a little more consistently, especially on defense. But things are fine on offense. I think we're clicking pretty well there, and we just got to get our act together a little bit on the defensive end.
Well, you mentioned the offense, and you look at those two second halves against Schnoo and against Assumption, and over 60% shooting in both of those halves. That's getting to a point, I think beyond even where we saw your team last year when they won the Northeast 10.
Yeah, I think we're a difficult team to guard, and we talked last week about the rules, and now teams can't put their hands on us either, which makes it a little easier for us to get to the basket. So I'm not sure we'll keep this rate up. You can't score 96 points and shoot at these percentages all year, but we've needed to because we've been giving up quite a few points. So we do have weapons, and right now we're clicking on that end, and hopefully that keeps up.
Is a big part of it just the options that you have? You've got 5 guys in your starting lineup who all at one point in time over a significant stretch have averaged better than 10 points per game, and you've got key components off the bench who can score the ball pretty easily as well.
Yes, I mean, we've got weapons, and right now Mike McCahey is really shooting the ball well, and John Nielsen has just got off to a terrific start. So their percentages are probably a little bit outside of the norm, and, over the course of time, that'll probably come back to earth. But we do have weapons. We're not an easy team to guard, and when we play defense better and can get out in conversion, we're really tough to stop.
Is that something you're trying to stress to your team right now in terms of picking things up on the defensive end, keeping in mind that those shooting percentages, like you said, are probably going to come back down to earth at some point?
Yeah, I mean, what's real is real, So, I mean, if you're building a championship unit, you're not going to rely on your offense for 30 games out of the season. And we've always preached that. Your offense sort of comes and goes. It's some days you'll make shots, other days you won't make shots. And we've always tried to build our team here on our defense, rebounding, and free throw shooting. We try to get to the line more than our opponent. And right now we've got a team that's playing offense very well. We're not playing defense very well. And at some point in time, to be a championship unit, we have to fix that.
I want to go back to last year's squad for a little bit because a lot of the success that came on the defensive end seemed to come off of forcing turnovers, and I like to sort of compare that group to almost having a football type of mentality where football coaches a lot of times will talk about the turnover game, say, well, if we take care of the ball and force the other team to turn it over, then we'll have success. And it seemed like that was how your team had success. You didn't turn the ball over a lot, and you forced the other team into mistakes.
Yeah, I'd say that's a very true statement. We've led the league in steals like 2 years in a row, and this group takes our opponent's steals and just jams it down your throat. So it's not just we're stealing it and scoring it. So like our defensive activity has been a big part of our offensive production. And when we're active on that end and we're touching the ball and we're turning people over, um, it just makes us that much harder to play against. And when we're not, even the last couple of years, we have not done a great job of making you shoot a low percentage. So even last year, we weren't in the league leaders in defensive field goal percentage against both 2 and 3 points. We rebound probably average. We're not a very big team. So I'd say the activity from our guys to be able to touch it, steal it, go the other way is it's a big issue. And like even the other night against Assumption, I mean, I think they had 2 turnovers at halftime. The game before Southern New Hampshire, they had 2 turnovers at halftime. Well, we were behind during a dogfight, and then in the second half, our activity seems to pick up. So I would agree, and until we can get a little more active on that end of the floor, I think we're going to struggle to keep people to a points against that we think is appropriate.
What in your mind is where you'd like to see your opponents, sit given your offensive capabilities?
Yeah, I think we're going to sit around 72, 72, 73, I think. Maybe even a little bit higher than that this year just because it seems like all the scores are going up. And trust me, I'm not one of those guys that thinks, you have to hold teams to 58 points against. Teams that do that really limit the amount of offensive possessions you get. So, we don't play like that. We're very open on offense. Our tempo is always going to be high. There's always going to be a lot more possessions in our game. So consequently, we're going to give up a few more points. I'm not against that. We just have to be able to stop people when it really matters, and we have not really consistently done that this year. So we're probably 8 to 10 points higher than we should be. Although we're probably higher on offense than we're going to end up being too. So I think over the course of time, all those numbers will come down a little bit.
Do you find that as the season starts to wear on, and it seemed like this happened last year as well when you got into the Northeast 10 Conference playoffs and in the NCAA tournament, that the scores in general start to go down a little bit, teams start to get a little more hard-nosed defensively, every possession matters that much more?
Yeah, and I think the more the season goes on, the scouting comes into play. Teams make you play to your weaknesses, so you're not always just playing to your strengths. And I'd say there's always a correction. After your first 7 or 8 games, if you really look over the last 20, everybody's numbers have a tendency to come down. So, yeah, there'll be a correction once we get into league play and everything's more of a grind-out battle.
Now, league play starting to pick up as you move forward this week. You've got a game tonight against Merrimack, who's another team that has scored the ball well early on in the season, a team that's out to a 4-1 start, just coming off their first loss. And then St. Michael's to take you into the winter break, so to speak, coming up next week. Let's look at Merrimack first real quickly. Another head coach you're very familiar with in Bert Hamill, who's been in North Andover for a long time. But a fairly young team trying to rebound from what was a little bit of a difficult season for them last year.
Yeah, they lost their front court kids, so they were very big last year, and they have now filled in with much smaller units. So they're very small. They're very aggressive on defense, meaning they're in denial. They're going to try to turn you over. I think they're averaging 19 turnovers per opponent per game, which is a lot. They have 2 really quick guards that are going to be difficult for us to stay in front of. So we had a little trouble guarding them last year, but they had some trouble guarding us too. So it's a big game for us going into Thanksgiving. I think if we can hold serve at home tonight and go into to Thanksgiving break 4-2, it'll give us a little bit of a rest, and then we'll come back and hopefully can improve some of the areas where we haven't been that good.
Well, those 2 guys you mentioned for Merrimack, JT Strickland and then Jelvis Solano, who has just come out really shooting the ball well this year. I think he's better than 40% from behind the arc on the season. Is there one player you kind of point to on your side that you hope to attack him with, or is it just going to be a combination of pieces to kind of mix and match to defend Solano?
Yeah, well, the way we play defense, we switch, 3 or 4 spots, so everybody has to guard him. I think it starts with Strickland in conversion, to tell you the truth. If you let him get out in conversion and get in the lane, he creates shots for the other people. Solano's just a hard guard, I mean, I think he's averaging 26 a game. He's very quick, plus he can shoot, plus he gets fouled. So he's got counters. You take him away, he's an incredible spin dribbler and keeps his balance as well as any player in the league. So honestly, we didn't really stop him last year. He had 28 one game, 23 the other game. And we're just going to try to contain him, try to keep him off the foul line, make him work for his points, and hopefully we can keep the other guys a little bit in check. On the other end, Solano has stolen it 23 times, I think, in 5 games, which is a lot of steals. And I'm not going to tell you he's very good on defense, because he's not. I mean, he doesn't stop his man, but he steals the ball. So we've got to be very careful. I think it's going to be one of those games. We haven't turned it over a lot. I think we're averaging under 11 turnovers a game, which is terrific. They turn you over, so it's their strength against our strength. And, if we handle the ball and get our possessions, I think we're going to score. If they steal it and turn it over and score in conversion, then I think then they have the upper hand. So, it's strength against strength, and we'll see what we can do with it.
Perhaps a little bit more emphasis putting the ball inside as well, given the fact that Clifford has graduated. And, they do have Kevin Regan back inside, but they are a little bit young, a little bit inexperienced, and a little bit smaller inside than they were last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to attack them on the inside. And I'm not just saying it's post-ups. I'm saying it's dribble drives, cuts, offensive glass, and post-ups, because they are smaller on the rim. Now, getting by them is a different story. They're very aggressive on defense. They're going to extend us. We have to move the ball, open them up, and get the ball shifted to be able to attack them. So, but I think you're right. This game will be probably one in the painted area. And if we can get inside, even for us to get the ball out to our shooters, we're going to have to get it inside.
Does that put maybe a little bit more emphasis on some of the big guys coming off the bench? Obviously, you have Santo and McKay starting, who are both capable of stretching the floor. But you've got Borelli now coming off the bench, and then the 2 freshmen, Isaiah Nelson and Grant McKay. Is it going to put a little bit more emphasis on what they're able to do when they get in the game?
No, not really. No, I like I said, I don't think they do a very good job of keeping the ball out of the post, so they're going to fight the post play. And I'm saying to get it in the painted area happens in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to say our penetration is going to be a bigger key than our post-up game. And Chris and Mikey are certainly capable of offensive rebounding, where I think that's another big key. So, we're going to attack this game with Mike, Chris, and Dom as usual. If we need one of the 2 freshmen to come in and help, we'll use them. But, to make a bigger emphasis out of our offensive post play is probably not going to happen.
Well, you talk about the emphasis on penetrating into the paint, and a lot of that has come from the point guard spot for you in the past. Dino Malios coming off a terrific season last year where he led the nation in assists, and he's off to an even better start, averaging nearly 10 helpers a game this year. Is he kind of your focal point? Is he the starting key to the offense?
Yeah, I think Dino's the key to our team no matter what. He has been for a couple of years. And now he's not the only one that can get by, so I think, Chris Santo is a key to getting inside a defense. I think Roy has done a good job of getting inside and getting fouled. Michael McKay is going to have to get by his man or get us some post action. But Dino's assist numbers are up so high because honestly everybody's making shots. So like I said at the beginning, it's not just Dino penetrates and kicks for a layup. He's going outside to Mike, and Mike's shot at such a high percentage, or he's gone outside to Neil, who's shooting at a ridiculously high percentage. So, yeah, Dino will be a important piece of this puzzle. He's got to not turn it over and get the ball to the right people. And ultimately, they're not that easy to get inside of. And I think our whole team has to do it, not just Dino.
All right, we'll get you one more question before we get you out of here and off for the rest of the afternoon. Any special Thanksgiving plans with the rest of the family?
Thanksgiving plans. When is that?
Thursday.
That's Thursday. No.
Coming up Thursday.
Yeah, obviously I've got a family, and we will have Thanksgiving at my house with my wife's side of the family. So very much if we can take care of business tonight, see, Thanksgiving becomes a very enjoyable day. If the guys don't take care of business tonight, Thanksgiving's not as enjoyable as it probably should be.
Certainly it'll be poured into preparation, I'm sure, for St. Michael's if the Merrimack game doesn't go your way per se.
Life of a coach, my friend. That's just the way it is.
That's usually how it tends to be. Thank you very much, Coach Dickson, for joining us here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show.
Thank you very much.
ESPN New Hampshire, ESPNNewHampshire.com, 900 AM Nashua, 1250 AM in Manchester, New Hampshire. I want to remind you what's St. Anselm all about. Founded in 1889, St. Anselm is a nationally ranked Catholic Benedictine liberal arts college located in Manchester, New Hampshire. Whether you want to be a doctor, teacher, nurse, or lawyer, St. Anselm College will place you on the right path. If you dream of starting your own business or aspire to make films, St. A's is for you. If you're undecided but know that you want to make a difference and want to figure out the best way to do it, St. Anselm will give you the options, experience, and mentors to connect, solve, serve, lead, and especially to do the right thing. Find us on the web at www.santanselmhawks.com, on Facebook at STA Hawks, and Twitter at STA Hawks. Ben Altsher here, filling in for Nick Anastos on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show. You just heard from Keith Dickson, head coach of the men's basketball team, and we're going to be joined now by Chris Santo, here of the men's basketball team, a junior from New Jersey. Chris, welcome aboard the Saint A's Coaches Show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just talk about the start to the season for you guys a little bit. 3-2 on the year, probably not maybe quite the way you envisioned the start of the season going, given what you were coming off of last year.
Yeah, definitely not. I think we found out pretty early on in the season that we can't just show up to gyms and win. We still have to play with the same intensity that made us winners last year, and we still have to play the right way and play together. And we definitely learned that the hard way the first 4 games and then the first half of Southern New Hampshire. So hopefully we learned our lesson and it won't happen again, and we'll be able to play like the way we did for the most of last year for the rest of this year.
Well, that Bentley game, first on the schedule, it's never kind of an easy thing to take on a team that I guess has been known as sort of the program to beat in conference play, and you knew, having beat them twice last year, that they were going to come at you tough. Was that game maybe a little bit of a wake-up call early on?
I wouldn't really say it was a wake-up call. I would say that, it was a good match for us the first game, and if you think about it, they had 2 games already under their belt, so they had a little bit of experience already, and they returned everybody too. So it wasn't like we were getting somebody who wasn't ready for us. They were ready to come at us, being that we won last year and we were the regular season champions. So I think that they were ready for us, and we probably weren't ready for them. But I wouldn't say that it was a great early test, because honestly, we talked about this, nobody wins championships in November. So we're going to have to go through all these teams no matter what.
Being said, you have another couple games coming up on the docket that are pretty tough. Merrimack tonight, and then St. Michael's moving forward before the break. This Merrimack team, talking to Coach Jelva Solano, a guy who gave you trouble last year, how do you look to try to limit his capability tonight?
Well, we play a real team-focused defense. It's not going to be one guy that is going to stop him, and he's a great player, and we know that we're not going to be able to completely stop him, but we just have to do our best to contain him and limit what he does against us. I think that for the most part, if we just play the right way and we play our defense, we're off and over to the ball, and we have our help side ready, then we'll be able to contain him for at least not let him go off.
Well, that defense has kind of been up and down the last 2 games. As you said, the 2 second halves against Southern New Hampshire and Assumption, great defensive play. The first halves of those games, a little bit of a slow start out of the gate for you guys. How do you look to avoid, again, starting slow tonight against Merrimack?
I think it's just our approach. We talk about intensity, and we talk about playing the right way, and we just have to come out with that right mindset and that right approach from the jump. And I don't think we've really done a great job of doing that so far this year. So hopefully we'll start to wake up and we'll start to be ready come 7:30 and not after halftime.
Well, for you, it's sort of a little bit of a different approach as well, because last year, coming in your first year with the team, you were coming off the bench and really sort of providing a lot of that energy when you came out onto the floor. Now starting the game, do you try to maybe ratchet up that intensity a little bit earlier on?
Honestly, I try to play just the same way I've always tried to play, and that's hustle all the time and just play with an intensity and provide a spark for my team, and whether that's coming off the bench or whether that's starting, it doesn't really change my approach.
Has the role been any different just in terms of the minutes or maybe the way you have to kind of pace yourself out on the floor being out there for longer stretches?
Well, if I let myself be out there for longer stretches, then yeah, but I haven't really done a great job being consistent with my foul trouble so far this season. So hopefully, as the season progresses and these new rules become more part of the game, then I'll be able to, limit my fouls.
Coach, get on you a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
Coach Dickson, never one to, I guess, miss a teaching lesson in terms of trying to improve someone in the way they can play.
Yeah, and if I don't hear from him, I hear from my dad back home too. So I'm hearing it from all different sources.
Is there anything that you've discussed with your teammates early on, kind of going through this early part of the schedule and having maybe some of the struggles that you guys have had? Have you had any sort of team talks maybe away from the locker room or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to get we just are trying to get right and get our karma right, whatever it is, and really just try and just play the right way and play together, and we'll be able to figure it out. It's a long season. We know that nobody's going to win it in November. No one's going to win it in December, but hopefully by the time March comes around, we'll be ready to roll.
Well, I was talking to Coach Dickson kind of before the start of the Bentley game, and he was very complimentary of you and the rest of the other guys, and sort of talking about that trip you took to Spain over the summer and how tight-knit this group is. And do you kind of feel that bond with the rest of the group?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we were tight even before the trip, but it just made it that much better. Everyone was really able to spend a lot of time with each other and in a different situation than most programs would be able to experience. So I think it was definitely beneficial for our team, and I think we just became closer and really made our relationships with each other even stronger.
It was certainly very interesting to see some of the online journals that you posted about the trip and kind of what you guys were doing on a day-to-day basis. What for you stands out as kind of the one great memory from that trip overseas?
Well, for the radio, I'd say that the great memories were probably just the games and just being able to experience all the different stuff and in playing overseas basketball. And I think that a lot of our guys strive to play over there after college. So it was a good good way to put a foot in the door and get over there and experience some of that.
Is there something you were able to learn from those games against the three professional teams that maybe you weren't as aware of, or something new about sort of that style of game that's different from what you're used to here?
Well, had we known that the fouls were going to be a little bit touchier over here this season, I think we definitely would have been able to get used to it more over there, because they called it kind of like the refs here are calling it now. So I think that was actually, looking back at it, a good experience for us, because we had to play without our hands and use our help defense and rotations to be able to stop teams. And we did it there, and we won 3 games, so there's no reason why we can't do it over here.
Is it almost sort of readjusting back to what you were used to over the summer as opposed to what you were doing here last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, certainly off to a pretty good start this year, and looking forward to Merrimack tonight, and then St. Michael's coming up next week. Obviously, that's another team that you played twice last year, beat twice last year, but a team that obviously was dealing with some injury issues. Anything that, looking ahead to St. Michael's that strikes, I guess, jumps out in your mind?
Well, we're really just trying to take it one game at a time, especially the way Merrimack's been playing. They're playing great. They didn't play the way that they normally play against Franklin Pierce, but they've got good wins against Southern New Hampshire and other teams in our league. So we know we have to go out there tonight and take care of business tonight, and then we'll worry about St. Mike's after we get back from Thanksgiving.
One game at a time. I wouldn't expect anything less. Chris, thanks so much for joining us here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show.
Appreciate it.
Chris Santo, junior from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and ready for the Thanksgiving break, but one more game to take care of before then tonight against Merrimack. This is the Saint Anselm Coaches Show on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. And coming up in just a little bit, we will talk with the women's basketball head coach, Julie Plant, and senior Tori Lehr from the basketball program, and get a little bit of an update from Coach Plant and Tori about how the women's basketball team plans to attack Merrimack tonight in the first half of a doubleheader, which you can catch online at StAnselmHawks.tv. Myself and Chris Schuker will be on the call for both the women's and the men's games starting at 5:30 and 7:30 respectively. And don't forget you can catch the Saint Anselm Coaches Show on ESPN New Hampshire, 900 a.m. Nashua, 12:50 a.m. Manchester, or online at espnnewhampshire.com every Tuesday at 5:30. Once again, Ben Altsher filling in for Nick Anastos here. We'll update you from the women's basketball program as well as the hockey programs and look ahead for the men's basketball program when we come back. This is the Saint Anselm Coaches Show, recorded live at Davison Hall every Tuesday at noon here on ESPN New Hampshire and espnnewhampshire.com. Welcome back to the Saint Anselm Coaches Show, pre-recorded live every Tuesday at noon here at Davison Hall on campus at Saint Anselm College. Ben Altsher here, filling in for Nick Anastos, who's away on assignment. And joining me now is senior forward from the Saint Anselm women's basketball team, Tori Lehr. Tori, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and appreciate you coming aboard. And obviously, start to your season has been very good. A couple of double-doubles the last couple of games, and having some good success early on.
Yeah, it's been really fun. A big group of seniors this year, so we're just really trying to make the best of our year and have fun with it.
Has it been sort of maybe a driving motivation because you and the rest of the seniors, obviously a difficult year last year, trying to kind of turn things around in your last year here?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, we definitely know that we have a lot of talent on the team and we can do big things in the conference, and we haven't really been able to show off that yet. So I think we're really trying to use this year to express our talents and really do it for each other.
Just take me back to last season a little bit, because you had a couple wins early on about this time of the year, and then conference play came in, you hit a couple bumps in the road, a couple injuries. Sort of, did things just kind of spiral in the wrong direction?
Yeah, kind of just stuff built up on each other, and didn't take care of things early, so things just kind of built up. And this year we're definitely looking to change it up and not let that happen again. Learn from past experiences.
Now a new head coach in Julie Plant in her first year. What have been your first impressions of Coach Plant?
She's very organized, definitely seems to know what she's doing, has really wrangled the team early, and it's a good thing. I think that everybody is really responding pretty positively to the change, so I mean, we're excited for the rest of the year.
It certainly seems like it's a much different style of play. Obviously, under Coach Kraft, it was a strong defensive effort for you guys pretty much every night out. Now with Coach Plant, it seems like things have started to open up a little bit. We're starting to see you guys score up into the high 60s and even 70s.
Yeah, we are definitely keeping a focus on defense, but definitely an attack mentality because we can really run the floor against other teams, and we're trying to capitalize on that.
Is that something that kind of appeals to you a little bit more in terms of being able to get out and run the floor a little bit?
I love to run, so yes, it does. And we have a couple quick guards that really know how to pass up the floor, just take themselves and read the defense. So it's been fun.
Well, just for you personally, I know it's been a terrific start to the year, scoring in double figures, I think in 4 of the first 5 games, if not all 5. So obviously last year, some injury issues. Feeling healthy, has that been just kind of a big part of why you've had success early on?
Yeah, it definitely has helped a lot. Coming off a concussion at the end of last year, I didn't know if I was even going to be able to play. So realizing that opportunity almost wasn't here, I just want to live it up, really do my best.
That's obviously kind of a big injury buzzword in terms of college athletics, professional athletics, has been that concussion. And just from your personal experience, has it just been something about taking time and having time to kind of work through it?
Yeah, you really have to know the signs and symptoms and be smart. Like, I definitely tried to come back too early a couple different times, and it really just pushed the whole process back. So you just really have to be smart about it.
Now let's go back to this past week, a 1-1 week for you guys. You had a loss on the road at Southern New Hampshire, a hard-fought loss certainly against a team that you've played a couple times now. And then a win on the road at Assumption, something that this program hasn't done since 2002. And that Assumption program certainly is one that's well known throughout the Northeast 10 and has been to the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. You feel like that was really a big win early on in the season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any overtime win is going to be really fun for the team in general. But we really stuck it out. We grinded to the end, and I think it really just motivated everyone. We really proved that we can actually finally push through and win that final buzzer. We're just looking to do it again and again.
What in your mind was the biggest key to that Assumption victory?
People didn't give up. I think that everybody really just kind of put their heads down and grinded right through it. So I think that people really just stuck it out and really kept each other positive and kept moving the whole time.
Now, there are always those, I guess, moments in a game where there's going to be some sort of adversity where the other team goes on a run or maybe open shots aren't falling. Who on your team do you see as kind of a big vocal leader in kind of helping the team get through that adverse stretch?
I really think that everyone does their part, especially when it's appropriate. I think that all the seniors this year, Meg and Allie and Bree and myself, have really, and Key definitely, have all done our job of really kind of reading how our teammates are looking or feeling, and saying the right thing at the right time, and just everybody brings each other up.
And this roster is interesting because a lot of the rotation pieces, you mentioned yourself, Brianna Jones, Meg Morrissey, Allie Jones, all experienced players who have been around for a couple of years. But then you also have Candace Andrews, who's playing a lot as a freshman. And are you sort of all kind of taking her under your wing and sort of showing her the ropes?
Definitely. Candace has been very open and ready to play. And it's so much fun to just watch her explode kind of in the conference and college play in general, because she is so talented and so good that it's just great to see her transform from directly from high school into college right away. It's awesome to see.
Are there some things that maybe you and the other girls are trying to sort of pass along, just maybe as work ethic or the balance of sort of being a student and being an athlete while going through a rigorous college schedule?
Yeah, definitely trying to help with all of that. Work ethic every day. I think we all push each other to our hardest. Sometimes push each other hard as a game would be, or most of the time. And academically, it's definitely a change for the freshmen this year. So just really helping them understand that you have to take the time to do well in your academics as well as athletics, or else you won't have the athletic side. So it was a learning curve, but I think we're getting there. So
Well, that's always nice to hear. And coming along this week now, you have Merrimack tonight and then St. Michael's with a non-conference game against Philadelphia in between to kind of wrap up sort of the early part of your schedule. Merrimack, obviously a team you're pretty familiar with, playing them twice every year in Northeast 10 play. They were a team that caught a lot of people by surprise last year in really sort of how much of a leap they took from one year to the next. Do you maybe see a little bit of what Merrimack did last year and what your team is capable of this year?
Definitely. I mean, I have full confidence in our team. I think that we can do very well in the league, and it's just a matter of having confidence in ourselves and each other and really showing it on the floor. So I think that we'll do well this year.
In terms of Merrimack, obviously loss of a big post player inside. And do you feel like maybe that's an area where you can exploit them in there a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely think that we can use that to our advantage.
Certainly, the Warriors, a tough opponent over the last couple of years. Is there anything that stands out to you about them from previous games?
Just coming out ready every night, I think, is key. I mean, anyone can beat anyone in the N10, so just got to be ready for it.
Certainly a very tough and balanced conference. And then moving forward, a trip to Pennsylvania coming up this weekend. Is it kind of creating a little bit of a crunch in terms of the Thanksgiving break for you guys?
A bit, yeah, but I mean, we all enjoy each other's company, and I mean, we're gonna have a fun weekend. I mean, the bus ride's gonna be long, so we'll have a bunch of movies and lots of family bonding. So
what's the plan? Everyone's able to go home for Thursday, and then you have to be back Friday. Is that the schedule?
Yeah, some people live a little too far away, so people are going home and other teammates and stuff. But we'll be back here probably either really late Thursday night or Friday morning, and back for practice Friday.
And what about for you specifically? Are you planning to just head home and enjoy the holiday with your family?
Yes, I get to go home. I live close enough that I'll be able to spend some time with them for, a day and a half or so. So I'm excited for that.
Always nice to get a little bit of time off before you go back to work. Well, good luck, and good luck tonight especially.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is Tori Lehr, senior forward here with the Saint Anselm Hawks women's basketball team, joining us on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show and helping lead the Hawks off to a good start this year, and be joined by head coach Julie Plant in a moment, but I want to remind you first that St. Anselm College features 20 NCAA Division II programs, most of which compete in the highly competitive Northeast 10 Conference. And with over 100 home events this year, plenty of chances to catch the Hawks in action. If you can't make it to the game, log on to StAnselmHawks.com, follow along with free live stats of every home contest. Better yet, be sure to check out StAnselmHawks.tv for live video broadcasts of every football, basketball, and hockey game, plus other select events throughout the year. At only $6.95 per game or $69.95 for the entire season. No reason to miss a minute of the action. Be sure to sign up for the St. A's e-newsletters. Fans can sign up for all their favorite sports and receive up-to-the-minute St. Anselm news right in your email inbox. Hawks also have a brand new photo store, and you can purchase any St. Anselm athletic photo from each of the 20 sports directly on the website, online at www.StAnselmHawks.com, Facebook at STA Hawks, and Twitter at STA Hawks. Joined now by women's basketball coach Julie Plant in her first year with the team. Coach, welcome aboard the St. A's Coaches Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us, and a nice start to your team this year, and obviously a big win this week coming at Assumption.
Yeah, we've had a really good start to the season. I've been so proud of the kids. They've really worked hard, and they've come together in big moments and kind of fought through some adversity in that Assumption game. And because they just persevered, they were willing to pull out a huge upset win against them on the road. Our first Northeast 10 conference win, so we were really excited about that.
Well, certainly the Northeast 10 conference slate, not the easiest one for you early on. You end up opening the conference slate against the number one team in the country, Bentley, which for what that game was, and it was obviously a good win for Bentley, but I thought your team held its own for good stretches of that game against a team that is expected to not only be in the Final Four, but win the Final Four.
Yeah, they're so talented. They're so deep, and they're veteran. So we hung with them for about the first 8 to 9 minutes of the half, and then they just went on a stretch, and we couldn't respond. We just didn't respond to their run. So I was proud of the kids. They kept battling. They didn't give up. They didn't quit. They kept fighting. They're a talented team. So we'll have a better game plan, I think, going into that game the next time that we play them. But yeah, it wasn't the best way to start the conference schedule. But we've recovered.
And then you get on the road at Southern New Hampshire and a close loss there. Just an 8-point game, and certainly one which you were in for long stretches of the game. And then you kind of rebound with the overtime win at Assumption. Is that sort of maybe a turning point early on in the season?
I really think it was. I think the Southern New Hampshire loss taught us more about what we needed to do better than had we won that game. After the game, I really challenged our captains and our leaders to be better leaders, to be more positive, to pick each other up. And, I mean, the proof was in the overtime win at Assumption. They listened. They made change. They were better, and they stayed together and really fought through together as a group. So it was a great response to that tough loss at Southern New Hampshire.
I'm just looking at the box score for that game real quick. It seems like a lot of your starters, every one of them actually, all five, over 30 minutes, and a lot of the senior leadership is in that group. Meg Morrissey, Allie Jones, Brianna Jones, Tori Lehr, who just spoke with, and 3 of those 5 players in double figures. How much of it, comes from just that starting group?
I think a lot comes from that starting group. We had a few kids come off the bench and really make contributions. But yeah, our seniors have to come every game ready to play and ready to score. We need them to be offensive threats. So I think they really stepped up in that Assumption game. We made a couple adjustments in the second half. They went to a zone. Our post players did a good job kind of finding gaps and getting behind the zone, and we made some adjustments to that. So, they stepped up and scored offensively. Tori was great. She hit some huge contested shots in the second half. But what was kind of nice to see in a really big moment, our freshman stepped up, was a little confused about a play call, and knocked down a huge 3 to really seal the game for us. So, I mean, we have even our young kids are stepping up too, so it was really nice to see.
Is it nice to see a player with that confidence where maybe if she doesn't understand the call, she has the confidence to take a shot in a big moment?
Absolutely, and that's kind of one of the things I've really tried to preach to all of our kids. Well, and I give them the green light to be able to score and shoot the ball. We want to attack every possession we can, and they've all really taken that mentality to heart and are executing it really, really well. Even our freshmen and our upperclassmen give our young kids the confidence to be able to do that. And I think that's a huge testament to why we've done so well early.
How has the team sort of come along recognizing those spots where they can really challenge and attack their opponents?
I think they've slowly started to recognize. I wish they would attack a little bit more sometimes, but it's a work in progress. And I think they're getting better and better every day. That's all I ask them to do is just work hard and try to get better every day with how we want to play the game.
Well, obviously it was a tough situation coming in because it was an experienced group and a first-year head coach. You maybe didn't know a lot about them. They maybe didn't know a lot about you. But it seems as if early on that the two sides have grown together, and it seems as if they're grasping your system pretty quickly, and it seems as if they're very coachable group.
They're an extremely coachable group, and I couldn't ask for a better group of 8 seniors who've been so open and willing to embrace a change. And I think our coaching staff, Coach Shannon, who's here at the show, and Coach Harris, have done a really good job earning trust. And that's one of the things we really tried to do early, create relationships with all of our kids and try to build trust. And I think it's one of the reasons why we've had a lot of early success. They've been open to change, and we've really started to develop some really strong relationships with our kids. They trust us.
Is that something you wondered about going into the season when you first took the job? Is how are some of these more experienced players going to embrace me, a first-year head coach?
Absolutely. It was a huge question mark. Something I was really concerned about. 8 seniors is a lot of upperclassmen. And it's tough to have a new coach your senior year. I had 3 different coaches in high school, and it was really tough. I can't imagine having a different coach my senior year in college. But I'm so proud of how they've handled it. They've handled it the best way I could have imagined, in all honesty.
Looking ahead now, past the Assumption game, I guess, moving forward to Merrimack tonight. In talking with Tori, it was interesting to hear her take on, Merrimack, a program that really went through some struggles 2 years ago. I think they were maybe a 3-4 win team. And then last year improved about a 500 overall record, but they really opened some eyes in the Northeast 10 tournament with road upsets at Pace and then at Stonehill, which really I think was the big one. Certainly that opened a lot of eyes, knocking off the top 25 team. Do you see some of maybe where Saint Anselm could be this year from that Merrimack team?
Yeah, let's not jump too far ahead. We're going to take one game at a time, but I think it's completely possible. Monique's done an outstanding job at Merrimack. I don't know her very well, but I followed her her first 2 years in the league. I followed her from afar, being at a different college, but I only hope we can do what she's done in our early years here at St. Anselm. But no, she's done a great job. Her kids play so hard. They do it on the defensive end. Their guards are extremely talented. She's done a great job recruiting. So it's going to be a battle tonight, but I think our kids are prepared. We have a plan, and we're just going to try to attack them and control the tempo as much as we can.
Well, you look at the guard play. Chloe Rothman, obviously a very talented guard, especially on the defensive end, coming back, sort of a key leader on that Merrimack team. And then Tia Scott really starting to come out and was more of a bench player last year and has now become more of an impact player perhaps than last season. How do you look to try to answer that from your end?
We're going to have to attack them. We're going to have to make those talented guards play defense. We're going to have to make them work, and we're going to try to contest every shot their guards take and make them have to score under duress every time down the floor. No easy looks, no open looks in transition. They shoot a lot of transition threes, so we're really going to have to do our work defensively in transition. But we'll do the best we can. We'll hopefully be able to pound the ball inside on them a little bit, use our strength, use our size, try to get them hopefully in a little bit of early foul trouble, make them go to their bench early. But they're talented, so we're going to have to be, ready to go from the tip.
Well, you mentioned your strength, your size inside. Not only do you have Tori Lehr at over 6 foot, but you also now have Allie Jones back in the lineup, and she was a big part for you in that Assumption game as well.
She was great. She was steady. She scored around the basket. She hit a really big outside, about 15-foot face-up shot early on. It made their defense have to stretch. They actually went into a zone because of how we were just pounding them down low. So, no, she's just a huge lift for us. We're so glad she's back and healthy, and she's playing really well after coming off that ankle injury.
How much does her presence on the floor change what you're able to do on both ends?
I think it just gives us so much more depth. We can start with Tori and Allie the game, and then they can go in and out for each other. We can go big with having Bree at the 3. I think it gives us a lot of versatility. Defensively, Allie's a really smart defender. So she's able to, really 3-quarter in the post. One of our principles is not let the ball, in scoring areas on the floor. So she does a good job with that. And she's good on help defense too. She's smart. She'll rotate. Most of the time she keeps her hands up. So she gives us a lift on both ends of the floor. So we're very glad she's back.
And I think the biggest thing, obviously, like you mentioned, is moving Brianna Jones to that 3 spot. And she's able to do a lot of different things, but it's nice to have her have that wing spot where she can step out and also be able to rebound better than perhaps a lot of other wing players that you'll see.
Yeah, when Bree plays the 3, she's a tough matchup for some teams to have to defend her on the perimeter. She can shoot the outside shot. And when we throw her in the post and give her post touches, she has a great up and under move. I mean, she can do a lot of different things. She's probably our most versatile player on the team. But yeah, it's nice to be able to use her in different ways. We have to get her touches down the floor. She needs to be an offensive scoring threat for us. And she's really embraced that, playing inside and outside, and done a really good job with it.
Always nice to have that added depth inside, obviously with Allie Jones being healthy, and Brianna Jones can go down there as well and work with Tori. But something I know you stressed before the season was the outside shooting and being able to at least have a presence with it, if not necessarily have it be the biggest weapon for the team offensively. Do you feel like early on the 3, although maybe it hasn't exactly been a weapon, it's been enough to make other teams respect it?
Absolutely. What's Meg Morrissey's 3-point shooting percentage? You want to look that one up?
I can look it up real quick.
I think it's over 55%.
Somewhere in that range, yeah. 60% on the year.
Sorry, Meg. 60%. That's right.
6 of 10 on the year from behind the arc.
Yeah, she's been great. And I've really challenged our kids to get in the gym extra, get shots up, and they've really responded to that. We have to be able to score from the outside. It'll open up our inside game. We have to have balance. And I think our perimeter players have embraced that and have taken ownership of doing some extra work. So Candace, Meg, Ashley, Key, they get in the gym and they work on their shots because we got to knock them down.
Looking forward ahead to the schedule this week, you've got Merrimack tonight, and then you travel to Pennsylvania for a couple games, Philadelphia and Concordia as part of the ESU Classic, and then St. Michael's December 4th. Kind of a truncated schedule there to close out the first part of the season.
Yeah, we have a bunch of games grouped together. I think we'll make the most of it, though. It'll be a good trip for us down to Pennsylvania. When I took over the position, our schedule wasn't quite finished, so I had to get a tournament and to finish our schedule off. So it was the best option for us, and I think the kids will be fine. It's a lot of games at once, but they've responded well to our schedule so far, so they'll be fine.
Given the travel accommodations associated, have you already started looking at some of those non-conference opponents, even though you've got a game coming up tonight?
Yeah, we're working on the Philly U Scout and the Concordia Scout now, along with the St. Michael Scout. So, we try to stay ahead of the game as much as we can. But, I mean, you got to see recent films, so you got to kind of wait for those games to play through.
And it's all well and good for the athletes to take it one game at a time. Coaches don't
we're
have
not
that
allowed
luxury,
to.
do they?
Absolutely not, no. That's why I have bags under my eyes right now. I've been staring at a screen watching film.
Is that anything that jump out at you, I guess, that you can preview from either Philly or Concordia?
I've only really looked at their schedule and their statistics. Philly's had a pretty good start to their season. Concordia's struggled. There's been a couple conference opponents who have played them and beaten them. So I think we have a really good chance to go down to Pennsylvania and get 2 games. They're both neutral games, which is huge for us. We don't have to play East Stroudsburg. So I think it's a good chance for us to really try to get 2 more non-conference wins.
Well, and potentially with a win tonight, a chance for a nice little win streak going into the break, which is certainly always helpful. Good luck tonight against Merrimack, and good luck over the Thanksgiving weekend. And any special Thanksgiving plans for yourself?
I'll be heading to my parents' house in Gorham, Maine, so I'll be heading up there for Thanksgiving with my family. Excited.
So heading up north before traveling all the way down to Pennsylvania. It's going to be a lot of driving for you over the next couple days.
A lot of driving, yeah, a lot of driving. It'll be fine, though. I'm good in the car.
Well, I'm glad you look forward to it. Thank you very much, Coach
Thank
Plant.
you, sir.
That is women's basketball head coach Julie Plant joining us here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show. And just about ready to wrap things up here. Again, we pre-record every Tuesday at noon here at Davison Hall at Saint Anselm College. And I want to remind everyone about the 2 games coming up tonight. You can come in person, Stoutenburg Gymnasium. The women's tip-off will be at 5:30. The men's tip-off to follow at 7:30. Once again, the St. Anselm College features 20 NCAA Division II programs, most of which compete in the highly competitive Northeast 10 Conference. With over 100 home events this season, there are plenty of chances to catch the Hawks in action. If you can't make it to the game, log on to StAnselmHawks.com. Follow along with free live stats of every home contest, or you can check out the game at StAnselmHawks.tv, live video broadcasts of every football, basketball, and hockey game, and other select events throughout the year. Well, it's getting near the end of the show, so why don't we take a look ahead to what's coming up on the winter's schedule and look at the women's and men's basketball programs. As we just talked about with Coach Plant, the women's basketball team, after tonight's game at Merrimack, will be on the road for the ESU Classic at East Stroudsburg University. They'll be taking on Philadelphia University and Concordia College of New York. And then on December 4th, both the men's and women's basketball teams will wrap up the early part of the conference schedule here at home against St. Michael's College. Men's basketball coming off a pair of road wins last week against Southern New Hampshire and Assumption. Big second halves for both the Hawks in those games. They trailed by 17 at halftime against Southern New Hampshire. They shot 73% from the field, though, in the second half and outscored Schnooze 65-25 and then picked up a win at Assumption. Actually, the first men's win at Assumption for the first time since 2007. Hawks closed the game on a 24-11 run and picked up the victory there. For the women, they're coming off a 1-1 week as they lost 71-63 at Southern New Hampshire and then picked up the women's program's first win at Assumption since February of 2002, 68-65 in overtime. Tori Lehr with a double-double, 14 points and 10 rebounds combined in those 2 games. Candace Andrews knocking down a big 3-pointer in the overtime win against Assumption. Quick look at the men's and women's hockey programs. Men's hockey with a 1-0-1 week last week. They battled to a 2-2 overtime tie with number 3 Norwich on Friday night and then blew out St. Michael's 6-3 on Saturday. It's probably the best stretch we've seen from the men's hockey program so far this year. And then for the women, coming off a 2-0 week, they beat Salve Regina 4-3 in overtime and then Holy Cross 2-1. The Hawks now 8-1-0 overall in the season. They beat the University of New England 5-1 last night with 5 different goal scorers and getting a lot of help from a lot of different places as Hannah Sinat picked up her 3rd win of the season in goal last night for the women's win over UNA. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for the St. Anselm Coaches Show. Once again, my name is Ben Altsher, saying thank you for tuning in. Nick Anastos set to be back next week for the next edition of the St. Anselm Coaches Show here on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com.